it's your girl Missniecytv, and I'm here to review for Sistas Season 8, Episode 12. The episode starts off with Andy still being followed by that guy in the parking lot, so Andy ducks behind the pole so that the guy wouldn't see her. But the guy comes behind the pole and she pops out. He gives him a 2-piece and a biscuit, then she maces the guy, and the guy's like, Miss Barnes. Andy's like, Ferg? Andy's like, what are you doing and why are you following me? Ferg is like, you gotta take that up with Mr. Autry. Ferg is like, Mr. Autry hired me to keep eyes on you. Andy's like, why would you do that? Andy's like, Robin had you follow me, why? Ferg is like, you gotta take it up with him, I don't know. Conveniently, Robin shows up in the parking lot. He's like, what's going on? Andy's like, well, I just maced him because he was following me and he told me that you hired him to follow me. Andy's like, do you want to explain to me why he was following me? Robin's like, well, Ferg, you were supposed to keep this a secret. Ferg is like, can I just go home and wash my eye? Robin's like, yeah, go. Once Ferg leaves, Andy looks at Robin and she says, I want answers and I want them now. Robin's like, I just wanted to keep you safe and make sure you weren't being harmed and make sure you won't be the next one with a knife in your chest. Andy's like, why didn't you just tell me that then? Robin's like, because I know that you wouldn't approve. Andy's like, you're just like Gary, you just want to control me. Robin's like, so you really just gonna sit here and compare me to Gary? Andy's like, well, both of y'all just want to control my life. Robin's like, I'm not trying to control you, I just want to make sure you're alright. Robin's like, you can be so infuriating sometimes. Andy's like, well, I'm sorry, I just care about my life. He's like, as your attorney, it's my job to make sure that everything's done in your best interest. That's all this is. Andy's like, well, let me make it easy for you. As of today, you're no longer my attorney, you're fired. Robin's like, you don't mean that. Andy's like, yes, I do. Robin's like, you're making such a huge mistake. Andy's like, well, it's my mistake. That's when she gets a call from Fatima and it's about Karen, and Andy's like, is it the babies? She's like, hold on, I'm on my way. We're at the hospital. Hayden is still visiting Gary, and Gary's waking up and he notices that there's a pillow in Hayden's hand. Hayden is like, I just wanted to make sure he was comfortable. Gary's like, what are you doing here? Hayden's like, I came to talk to you about Tamara. Gary's like, do I know her? Hayden's like, so you don't know my girl now? Gary's like, do I even know you? Hudson comes in the room and he's like, what you doing here, Hayden? Hayden's like, I just came in here to check on my guy. Is he alright? Hudson's like, Gary needs to be sedated. Hayden's like, sedated? Hudson's like, Gary needs his rest and I need you to leave. Hayden's like, why are you trying to rush me up out of here? I just want to see what's going on with my friend. Hayden's like, I'm trying to figure out why he doesn't remember me or Tamara. Hudson's like, if you must know, Gary's been struggling with his memory. Hayden's like, how bad is it? Hudson's like, why? Are you scared of what Gary might remember? Hudson's like, this paranoia doesn't look too good on you. You might want to talk to somebody about it. Yes, Hayden, you better clock Hudson's teeth, because Hudson is very paranoid. Hudson tells Gary that he'll see him around and he leaves. Over at Zach and Fatima's, Karen, Fatima, and Zach are still having a conversation, and Fatima's like, well, Zach, when you do get excited about stuff, you get very obnoxious. Zach is like, so you're calling me obnoxious because I care? Karen's like, you are very. Fatima's like, well, as the father of one of those babies, Zach has a right to his opinion. Karen's like, hold up now, I thought you was on my side. Fatima's like, I'm on the side of the baby. Fatima's like, we all gotta get along if this co-parenting thing is gonna work. Fatima's like, that means you can't keep popping up at the house every time Zach makes you mad. Zach is like, that part. Fatima's like, hold on now, Zach, I got this. Fatima's like, how would you feel if you was dating a man and he... Karen's like, I understand where you're coming from. Fatima's like, let's be for real. How would you feel if a woman kept popping up at your house all because she had a baby by your man? You wouldn't like that, would you? Karen's like, nah, I wouldn't. Karen's like, once he started talking about a custody schedule for a newborn, I thought I had the right to come over here. Fatima's like, yeah, but popping up is still overreacting. Zach chose to do it over the phone, but you chose to pop up here in my living room. Fatima's like, both of y'all are being extra. Zach is like, hold up now, both of y'all need to put the blame on me, and let's not backtrack in the drama. This is not good for either of y'all pregnant. Fatima's like, really, Zach? Zach is like, oh my bad, it slipped. Karen's like, Fatima, are you pregnant? Fatima's like, yeah, but I was gonna wait till a little longer to say something, but since Slip's here, I had to say something, I might as well just tell you. Then here comes the theatrics. Karen's like, oh my god, I'm going into labor, I think I'm going into labor. Girl, you was fine until Fatima said that she was pregnant. You just want to make the moment about you. Over at the hospital, Zach and Fatima are sitting in the waiting room waiting to see what's going on with Karen, and Zach is all nervous. He's like, it's too early for Karen to have those babies. Fatima's like, I think you should call Aaron. Zach is like, what am I calling him for? Fatima's like, well, he is the father of one of those babies. Then Zach sees the nurse who took his blood for the DNA test, and he's like, what's going on with Karen? I'm so nervous. The nurse is like, she's in good hands. Now Karen is back there with the OBGYN, and he basically tells her that she's having Braxton Hicks and not to be under a lot of stress with the baby. Karen's happy that she's not having the babies right now because she's stressed about Zach and the 2 businesses that she owns. Girl, it's time for you to have them babies. By the time you have them babies gonna be walking and talking. Well, the doctor eventually brings out Karen, and Zach is like, oh my god, Karen, are you okay? Karen's like, yeah, I'm okay. Zach is like, well, if she's okay, then why she's in a wheelchair? The doctor's like, it's standard procedure. Fatima's like, are you really okay? Karen's like, yeah, it was just practicing here because I'm not having the babies tonight. Then we see Andy finally show up to the hospital and she's like, oh my god, Karen, are you okay? Are the babies okay? Karen's like, yeah. Andy's like, well, do you need me to take you home? Karen's like, actually, I rode with them. Andy's like, oh, okay. Karen's like, I actually left my car at their house. Andy's like, well, since you don't need a ride home, I'm gonna go upstairs and see Gary. Karen and Fatima are like, what you going to see Gary for? Andy's like, well, that was actually scary. Y'all agreed on something and y'all responded at the same time. Fatima's like, are you going to answer her question or not? Andy's like, you know what? I'm going to go see Gary. Bye, y'all. That's when Aaron shows up and he's like, thank you for calling me, Zach. Karen's like, did you call everybody in the contact list? Fatima's like, you could blame me for that. Fatima's like, I thought he had a right to know. And that's when the doctor comes out with Karen's discharge papers and he's like, remember not to be under a lot of stress. The doctor also says, no arguing with your child's father. Then that's when the doctor leaves and Aaron's like, what does he mean by no arguing with the child's father? He's like, Karen, I know that we haven't been arguing. He's like, Zach, have you been arguing with Karen? Zach is like, why are you even talking to me? Aaron's like, were you arguing with Karen when she thought she was going into labor? Zach is like, first of all, I'll take that bass out your voice. Fatima's like, Aaron, calm down. Fatima's like, Karen, can I get a little help here? Karen's like, we weren't arguing, we were just discussing something. Aaron's like, I've bent over backwards trying to be civil with you, but I see that's not working. He's like, every time I turn around, you're arguing with Karen. Stop doing that. Zach is like, first of all, pause, because if you're bending over backwards to do anything with me, that's crazy. Second of all, shut the F up when you're talking to me. Aaron's like, make me. Zach is like, you don't want them problems. Fatima's like, Aaron, you might want to calm down. Zach is like, you lucky my wife is pulling me up out of here. Aaron is like, is that so? Zach is like, yeah, because if she wasn't, I'd be beating your ass. Aaron is like, is that what you really want? Fatima's like, Zach, let's go. Zach is like, yeah, let's go before I slap him. Aaron's like, really? Aaron's like, at least one of our kids will have a responsible, solid role model. Zach is like, what'd you just say to me? Over at Danny's, Danny is still sitting on the kitchen floor suffering from a panic attack, and Carisha rushes in. She's like, Danny, what's going on? Did you and Tony have an argument? Danny's like, what made you say that? Carisha's like, because she said that's been happening a lot. Danny's like, actually, what happened was me and Tony were having a date. We were about to have sex, but then we didn't because I thought about everything you said about vices and stuff. She's like, okay, I called the paramedics. They're on their way. The paramedics had to check her signs for a heart attack, asking her, did she have any tingling feelings in her arm? Danny's like, no. Then they ruled it as a panic attack, but they told her that her blood pressure is really high. Danny's like, I'm so embarrassed. Carisha, you can go. The paramedics can go. Carisha's like, I'm not leaving you like this. Who do you want me to call? Danny's like, you can call Sabrina. We're at the basketball court. Sabrina and Rich are done their little love and basketball scene. And they're talking about the stuff that the doctor said and how Rich has to come in so they could talk to him about his sample. Rich is like, I know something's wrong. They could have just emailed me the results. Sabrina's like, let's be optimistic and something might not be wrong. Now Sabrina's like, you're such a good boyfriend and all this other stuff. Rich is like, I like that you tell me, but I would rather that you show me. So they about to get down to business. And as they're about to get down to business in the park, Carisha calls Sabrina and lets her know that Danny's having a panic attack and it's her best interest if she comes over there, right? So as Sabrina is talking to Carisha, Rich calls Tony to let him know what's going on. And Rich is like, where you at, bro? Tony's like, he's like, well, I think you need to go check on Danny. She just had a panic attack. Tony's like, is she alright? Rich is like, what'd you do? Tony's like, I didn't do nothing. She did everything. She was the one that was tripping. Rich is like, regardless of all that, I think she really needs her man. Back over at Danny's, Danny has officially showered, and she's like, thank you, Carisha, for staying and cleaning up. Are you gonna bill me for therapy and cleaning? Carisha's like, no, cleaning's on the house. Danny's like, I'm so sorry that I made you miss your date. Tell me about your date. Danny's like, I'm so glad that you were close by, but tell me about this man. Carisha's like, I'm glad I was close by too, but who said it was a man? Danny's like, okay, I see you playing for the home team. I think I should become a lesbian too, because the way these men stress me out having panic attacks and stuff is not good. By this time, Richard and Sabrina show up, and Carisha's like, since Sabrina's here, I think I'm gonna go. Sabrina's like, Danny, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Danny's like, I'm alright, but why'd you bring the ops? Sabrina's like, Richard's not the ops. He cares about you just like I do. Danny's like, no, he's more of Tony's friend than he's my friend. Rich is like, you know what? I think I'm gonna wait in the car. Sabrina's like, no, Rich, stay. Then that's when Tony barges in the door and he's like, Danny, are you okay? Are you okay? Danny's like, did Carisha call you? Tony's like, no, Rich called me. Danny's like, see, Sabrina, I told you your man was a op. Sabrina's like, when did you call Tony? Rich is like, when he was on the phone with Carisha. Sabrina looks at Rich and she's like, we'll talk about this later. Rich is like, I'm sorry, Danny, but I thought Tony had a right to know about his woman and make sure that she was okay. Tony's like, what happened? Danny's like, you happened. You bust up in here with all your therapy stuff and I don't want to hear all that. Then Sabrina notices that Danny's breathing really hard and she's like, Danny, are you okay? Danny's like, yeah, I'll be okay once he leaves. Tony, go. Rich is like, she's in good hands with Sabrina. Let's go. And Sabrina tells Tony that she'll call him if anything changes. So now it's just Sabrina and Danni, and she's like, basically, you see how Tony just came in here after I told him to leave? Sabrina's like, well, I should have been more discreet when I was on the phone. She's like, nah, it's not even Rich's fault or your fault, it's his fault. Sabrina's like, well, Rich thought you were bad off. And she's like, how would you feel if Tony didn't come check on you and something really did happen to you? Danni is like, well, at least he would respect my boundaries. Danni is like, I understand that the panic attack wasn't his fault, but he didn't even give me time to process it. He just came here running like he was a sexy bull. Sabrina is like, so you think he's sexy? Danny's like, I had a panic attack. I didn't go blind. Over at the bar, Rich and Tony are talking about their problems. Tony is talking about how he loves Danni, but he doesn't want to hurt her and trigger her anymore. Rich is like, that's the type of woman you like. You like independent women, fiery women, the people that handle their own problems. Tony is like, oh, my ex-wife was in the military, and Danni thinks she's a militant. Tony is like, I just want to get it right this time. Rich is like, you call me because you just got to fall back and let her handle things on her own. He starts talking about his problems with the clinic and how his sperm might be wrong and how he might not be able to have kids. And Tony's like, well, that might be from your past, the way you was moving. And Rich is like, what does my past got to do with anything? Then Tony's like, has Sabrina texted you back yet? He's like, nah. I sent her a lot of, I'm sorry for running my mouth text though. Tony's like, well, I'm sorry for bringing you and your girls in. When Jordan calls Tony and Rich is like, put him on speakerphone. And Jordan's like, did you hear the news? Penelope just got arrested for stabbing Gary. At the law firm, Robin calls Hayden to let him know that Andy's been suspended indefinitely. Hayden is informed that he will be taking over Andy's caseload, and Hayden's like, alright, okay. Coincidentally, Andy walks up, right? And Hayden's like, your time is impeccable. Are you here to stab Gary? I mean, stand by Gary. And Andy's like, I ain't got time for your mess today. Hayden's like, I just got off the phone with Robin, and he told me that you were suspended indefinitely. Andy's like, okay, that's when she gets an alert on her phone. And she's like, what the heck? Then Hayden gets the same alert, and he's like, LP Williams has been arrested for the stabbing of Gary Marshall Borders. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn your bell notifications. Bye!